Alright, so this is video part 2 for lesson 1. The first thing that we're going to do is just make sure you still have the same file set up. So setup in .ndesign. Alright, so the first step is to just make sure that your fill and your stroke on the tools panel are both set to none. So if we go over here on our tools panel, we'll see that these are both set to none. Alright, next we're going to get our type tool by pushing T. And we're going to drag to create a small text frame anywhere on the right hand side on the farthest right column above the horizontal guide. So here's our horizontal guides. This is our rightest column. So we're just going to click and drag. Okay. So once we have this typed, we're going to get our selection tool. And so we're going to click up here and go to our selection tool. And we're going to drag left and right handles of the frame so that it is the full width of the column. So I'm going to make it the full width of the column here. Alright, so I want to drag the bottom handle down until it snaps to the topmost horizontal guide. So I'm going to click and drag here. It snapped to it. I'm good. Okay, click the bottommost reference point on the control panel. Okie dokie. Bottom center reference point. So if you look over here on our properties panel, you will have this little grid. And in the middle bottom box, you can click right there. And so what we're going to do with that is we're going to type 1.375 in the height. So 1.375 in the height. Box on the transform panel, and then we're going to press return. Okay, so you see how he got tiny? Okay, so this is kind of what it should look like. Just make sure that you have 1.375 here and that you're snapped to your guides. Alright, so we're going to press and hold Shift and Option. So Shift and Option. And then we're going to drag and drop a copy of the text frame into the column to the left so that it looks like this. So while I have that selected, so Shift and Copy, just click and drag them to place. And so Shift Option, you can click and drag and put them wherever really. So that makes your life a little bit easier. We didn't need these extra two, so I'm going to kind of go through and delete this real quick. Okay, so we have our text box here and a text box here that we have just created. Okay, so make sure it looks like that and go ahead and save your work here. So whenever you're making these layouts, you do want to make sure that you are saving your work a good bit. That way you don't accidentally do something and lose them and have to go back, because that would just make everybody mad. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the color of our guides, margins, and columns. So I'm going to click on the InDesign button on our menu bar. We're going to go to Preferences and then go to Grids. Or excuse me, you're going to go to Guides and Pasteboard. So once you have this preference box open, we're going to make a couple changes. First, we're going to verify that the guides in the back checkbox is unchecked. So guides in back checkbox, that is unchecked. Okay, cool. And then next in the color section, so we're going to go right here to this color section. We're going to make sure that the margins list arrow, we're going to change that to light gray. Okay, so I've changed that to light gray. Sorry, I was waiting until the bell finished. And then we're going to click the columns list arrow, and we are going to change it to light gray as well. So light gray, and then we're going to press OK. So you see pretty much everything's now gray except for our guidelines here. Alright, now we're going to get our selection tool, which we have active already, and we're going to click the vertical guide to select it. So we're going to click on him. He's selected, and then we're going to press and hold Shift, and then press and hold Shift, and then we're going to click the 3 horizontal guides. So we're going to click there, there, and there. So now we have all of our guides are selected, and then now they're going to be dark blue. So that means they're selected. Now we're going to go to Layout on our menu bar, and then we're going to click Ruler Guides. Alright, so we're going to click Layout on our menu bar. I'm going to make InDesign my active app again. Layout on our menu bar, and we're going to go to Ruler Guides. Alright, so we have that, and we just want to click our color list ready thing and go to red. Alright, now we're going to push OK. And now we're going to click on the pasteboard, which is like right here, and you see that our guides are now red. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create color tint frames. So we're going to verify that our fill and stroke are still set to none. Alright, so over here I need to set you to none. Okay. So those are both now on none. I'm going to get my rectangle tool, and I'm going to drag a small rectangle anywhere above the 2 text frames in the rightmost 2 columns. So I'm going to click and drag a rectangle over here. Alright, so I'm right 2 columns. Here's my text boxes. Here's the rectangle that I just drew. Next, we're going to get our selection tool. And I'm going to click on Window and then go to Object and Layout. Window, Object and Layout. There it is. And then I'm going to click Transform. Alright, so in this section, this is like the Transform panel. It looks very similar to what's right here. Excuse the car in the background, that was excessive. And we are going to drag the left handle of the frame so that it snaps to the red vertical line. Alright, so doop, doop, doop. It snapped to the red vertical line. We're okay. Alright, next we're going to drag it, the right hand so that it goes all the way to the edge of the document. So we just drag it over here to the right edge of the document. The width in the transform panel should read 4.15 inches. So it's a little bit over. I missed a little bit, so we'll go to 4.15 inches. Now we're going to drag the top panel of the frame so that it snaps to the top edge of the document. And alright, so there we go, snap to the top edge of the document. Now we're going to click the top center reference point on the transform panel, which is this guy right here, top center. And we're going to verify that the Y text box on the transform panel reads 0. So Y, it does say 0, okay. Sorry, waiting on the bell. Next, we're going to change the height value on the transform panel to 1.35 inches. So we're going to click right here. We're going to put 1.35. All right. So once you change that to 1.35, you're not going to deselect the frame. Okay, so we have him right here. So we have to do that. All right, now we're going to click on our Fill button on the swatches panel. So we're going to go over here and click Fill. The fill is the solid square, not the rectangle that's missed in the middle, like a weird donut. And we're going to open our swatches panel. So you currently cannot see my swatches panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here and I'm going to go to Essentials Classic. And when I go to Essentials Classic, I lost my transform panel. I'm going to open it back up. Where did you go? Sometimes, just like you guys, I forget where things go whenever I'll deselect them. Window, Object, and Layout. Window, Object, Layout, Transform. Okay, so now I have him active again. I'm going to open up my swatches panel. And, okay, so now that I have my swatches panel open, I'm going to open the, I'm going to click on the yellow swatch. So I'm going to scroll down and click on yellow. It's the one that is also yellow. Shouldn't be hard to find. Okay, so we're going to drag and drop a copy of the yellow frame to the bottom of the page. So what we're going to do on here is we're going to drag and drop a copy just like we did earlier with the text boxes. So we're going to push Shift and Option down, and we're going to click and drag this yellow frame down to the bottom of the page. All right, so pretty simple, right? Right. The next thing we are going to do is we want to drag the top edge of the bottom frame down so that it aligns with the bottom most of the 3 guides. So we want to make sure that it aligns with the bottom of those 3 guides. And then drag the left edge to align with the left edge of the document. So we're going to click you and drag you all the way to the left edge of this whole document over here. Alright, so the width and the height boxes should read 12.5, so we're going to select right here and do 12.5, and then our height we are going to do at 1.25. So we're going to change our height to 1.25. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to deselect everything. So right now this yellow box is selected, we're just going to click off. Alright, and then next we're going to click the light blue swatch, which is this one right here. Oh no. Oops. I didn't have everything deselected, so you have to actually click off of it. We're going to click our light blue swatch. Okay, so now that we have our light blue swatch, we are going to create a small rectangle anywhere in the top, in the upper left-hand corner of the document. So we're going to get our rectangles tool. We're going to draw anywhere in the upper left. So there we go. All right, so now on our transform panel, we're going to click the top left reference point, so this guy right here. And in the transform panel, we're going to put 0 in the X. So make sure that says 0. Oopsie. 0, we're going to push tab, and we're going to make sure it says 0 in the Y, and then we're going to push tab, and we're going to put 8.35 in the width, and in the height box we're going to put 3.4, and we're going to push tab again. So this is what your screen should look like right now. This is a good point to go ahead and save your work. So file, save. Alright, so we are almost done with lesson 1 stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to use the line tool. So we're going to close our transform panel, which I've already did. You just click the little X button, and you're going to click anywhere on your pasteboard to deselect everything. So we're going to click right here on our pasteboard with our selection tool. Oops, there it is. Let me close him. Let me close that. Okay, so I've clicked on my pasteboard, and then we're going to get our line tool. The quick key for our line tool is the forward slash, or the backward slash, excuse me, button. Next, we're going to set our fill to none and our stroke to black. So we're going to click right here. It's easier to come up here, actually. Come up here, click none. We're going to click our stroke, and we're going to turn it to black. Alright, so now that we have that done, straight it back, we're going to position the cursor at the left edge of the document, and we're going to press and hold shift. Okay, so we're going to go over here, we're going to push down shift, and then we're going to click and drag out a line of any length. So I'm just going to make it that long. Okay, so that's how long my line is. And then pressing and holding shift, what that does is it constrains the line so that it's straight. So if I was to just click and drag without the shift button, you see that one's crooked. I'm going to undo that one. Alright. So what we're going to do now is we're going to expand the stroke panel. So I'm going to go over here to my stroke panel, and it's now expanded. So once that's expanded, I want to change the weight of the stroke to 4 point. So if I'm going to click this arrow up till it says 4. And then I'm going to go back to my transform panel. So I'm going to go back up to window, general layout, open my transform panel back up. Okay, so I'm going to keep him open. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the middle left reference point. So middle left, so right here, reference point. I'm going to put 0 in the X box, which that's where it's at. Then I'm going to press tab, and I am going to type 12.5 in my length box, which just make sure you go to the length box, 12.5 there, and then you want to have 3.5 in your Y, so 3.5. Alright, and you see that it did expand the length of my stroke for my line. Alright, next thing is we're going to use the transform again panel. So we're going to click on our rectangle tool, and then we're going to draw a small rectangle in the first column anywhere at the bottom of the page. So, okay. Now we're going to click on the top left reference point, and we're going to type 0 in our X box. 0. We are going to type 3.6 in our Y box, 3.6. And in the width, we're going to put 1.8. And in the height, we're going to type 1. Alright, so now we have all of those in there. Okay, now we're going to press I on our keyboard to get our... Alright, so while our box is still selected right here, we're going to get our eyedropper tool by clicking I on our keyboard. So eyedropper tool, and we're going to click the blue. So, alright, so that's done. Now we're going to get V to get our selection tool, and we're going to press and hold shift and option and drag a copy approximately 1/8 of an inch to the right. So we're going to click shift and option, and we're going to drag about 1/8 of an inch. Let's see, there we go. So right there, right? That's a quarter. Just kidding. We're going to drag that right there. Okay. So we've dragged that 1/8 of an inch to the right. Now we're going to click Object, Transform, Transform again. So Object, Transform again. Oopsie. Let me do that again. So Shift, Option, click and drag. We're going to go 1/8 of an inch over to the side. There we go. We're going to go to Object, Transform, Transform again. And you see that it just made another copy. So we're going to do this 2 more times. Object, transform again. 1. Transform again. 2. Okay, so we're going to select all 5 of our little rectangle. So we're going to click down the shift button and we're going to click